What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview stream as the games come thick and fast. It is tomorrow night at the Ricoh Arena, Coventry against Tottenham in the League Cup third round. And we've already gone a round further than we did the whole of last year. We did
unbelievable.
Get knocked out in the second round to Fulham on penalties, where, you know, a lot of people did say about Ange Postecoglou. He made 9 changes. We ended up going out on penalties.
So last season we lost 4-0 to Newcastle. This year only 2-1. This last season we conceded 3 goals to Arsenal. This time only 1, and we've already gone one round further in the cup.
Progress
everywhere I look.
That is what you call progress.
Progress everywhere I look.
Did we draw to any relegated teams last season?
No.
So there you have it. But look, it's a very important game, really important game in terms of the outlook of our season, especially with the form in terms of results that we've been on. This Coventry side are no mugs, by the way. They played Man United in the FA Cup semi-final last year. They got all the way to the semi-finals, and they probably should have won the game against Man United. They really gave them a good go, didn't they?
They did. It was incredible. They were 3-0 up, weren't they, Man United? They were 3-0 up actually like quite late into the game. It was like post the hour mark or something. They were 3-0 up, and Coventry incredibly got it back to 3-3. And if it wasn't for a really dodgy VAR call in extra time, they would have won the game 4-3. And luckily for Man United, the VAR call went in their favour, and Man United won it on penalties. But it was an incredible game. They really showed that they can go toe-to-toe with teams in the Premier League. And it was a real display of what can happen if you take your foot off the gas, even against a team like Coventry in the Championship. I know they haven't started the season too well, but they've got very good players, a very positive manager, Mark Robbins, as well. And it's going to be a very tough game away from home. Yeah,
I wonder if, because you say he's a positive manager, right? He's got some good attacking talent there. I wonder if he'll look at the previous game Spurs have played, where you see the likes of Newcastle, you see the likes of Leicester, Arsenal, Everton, all sitting deep against us and trying to frustrate us. I wonder if he's going to try go the same way, or is he going to stick to his guns and stick to his philosophy?
I don't know the answer to that question, but what I do know is in their last game, they've recently changed from a 4-2-3-1 to a 5-3-2. So if they're going to play a 5 at the back against us, that's going to obviously that'll probably be a better way of trying to stifle us than playing 4 at the back. We do tend to struggle a bit more against 5 at the backs. I remember 2 games against Wolves last season.
Did he play 5 at the back?
Who?
Coventry. What, against Watford?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what the transfer market says. They played 5-3-2.
Fair enough.
So I know, and we do tend to struggle a bit more against 5 at the backs. 2 games against Wolves last season.
Yeah.
We struggled in both those games and lost both those games. I'm trying to remember who else plays 5 at the back. Brentford. We had our struggles against Brentford last year. We only won 3-2 at home, and we drew 2-2 away. Who else plays 5 at the back in the Premier League? Not that many teams, but we do tend to struggle, I think, a bit more. So I don't know if you changed it just because their team was struggling and they need to change formation, or is it in preparation for Wednesday? But I did notice that, so I do wonder kind of what how they will set up. Are they going to be a bit more pragmatic, or are they going to try and take the game to us?
Yeah. If you look at the 2 teams' form coming into it, I mean, both on kind of similar forms, Coventry and Spurs. Obviously Coventry in the Championship and Spurs in the Premier League, and we will be the clear favourites going into it. But after a strong couple of seasons for Coventry, you know, a couple of years ago they had Gyökeres knocking it in for them in the Championship. Last year their star man was like Ellis Sims, wasn't it? He was scored a fair few goals last year, and he's already got on the score sheet a couple of times this season. But it's been a kind of a disappointing start to the season for both teams, hasn't it? For Coventry and Spurs, and both teams are going to really want to put it right tomorrow night under the lights in a cup third round, and their fans are going to be bang up for it. Spurs always take a large number away from home, and with the added allocation in the cup game, it's going to be a really ferocious atmosphere tomorrow night.
Yeah, and it's a chance for Coventry to cause a shock, and that's why it's on the Sky Sports choice for that round.
It is a potential banana skin, isn't it?
100%. As we said, we saw what they did to Man United last year. We've seen that Tottenham so far this season, despite playing some nice football, haven't quite clicked in the final third. We know that Coventry can be a tough team on their day, and it's especially away from home and in the Carabao Cup. Anything, especially if we do make a few changes, and if I don't know if Coventry will or if they're going to go, I'm sure they're going to go with their first choice team. And, championship teams as well, very used to playing 2 games a week. I think it's definitely a case where if we don't turn up, if we take this lightly, Coventry definitely have the potential of beating us. And also, Ange is under a bit of pressure to get a result. I can't remember the third round Carabao Cup game being so important. I mean, I guess last season the second round was pretty important because we had no Europe and we lost that one. But in terms of importance for a manager who's a bit under pressure, I mean, it's probably one of the most important third round Carabao Cup games we've had in recent history. So I think all of that adds to the occasion, and I think it's very important that Ange doesn't take this game lightly and make sure we get over the line, because I think with each trophy that disappears from the possibility of winning, the more pressure he's going to come under, especially with his comments, in his interview.
Yeah, and he's kind of left it as like, we have to win a trophy this year. There's no two ways about it. Like, he's put that pressure on the team now, because usually it's like, all right, we'll see where we're at halfway through the season, if we're still in the competitions, blah, blah, blah. But Ange just put that marker down now, and he's like, I always win in my second season, and this is going to be no different.
Yeah, and he said it. I think I was watching his press conference, and he's owned up to it. He said, that's the pressure I put on myself. That's what I expect from myself.
That's fair play to him.
So fair enough, and that's the standards he holds himself to, he was saying. And if that's the case, I'm all for it. Why not? Like, he knows that we need the trophy, and he says, as much as he sees people might see it as pressure, I see it as an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity to do something special, and why can't we do something special?
Yeah, and obviously at the 3 tournaments that we are in terms of cup competitions, the Europa League, the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, I think the Carabao Cup has the least games leading to a final, doesn't it? Because once you're past the third round, it's fourth round, and then it's already quarters or semis?
Quarters.
Yeah, so, it's a big opportunity. So if we win this, it's also standing in our favour that we are in Europe this season, because if we did miss out on Europe, we would have been likely to be pitted against one of the European teams as to how they have set them apart this year. So it's a massive game. And when you're looking at this Coventry team, I mentioned Ellis Sims, but they've also got Haji Wright as well, who scored a number of goals last season, and a player who quite interests me in Lewis Binks, who started his career at Spurs, and I think it was under Pochettino he left and went to the MLS, and he's found his way back in Europe. He went to Italy and Bologna, and now he's back at Coventry, and he played 18 games last season. He's already played 4 games this season, so starting to make a name for himself a little bit. And I remember when he did leave us, he had quite a big reputation about him.
Yeah, I kind of remember him, but obviously he left when he was still a youngster. It was, I think, in the under-18s when he left. So
under 23s he was.
So look, he's 23 now. So if he left I think
he left in 2020 or 2019.
2019. So that's 5 years ago now. So he would have been 18. He would have been 18 when he left. So interesting to see how his career has developed, and he's found his way to Bologna and now to Coventry. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see if he starts on tomorrow or not. Yeah,
he's kind of started every other game for Coventry this season and then come off the bench in the other games. In terms of past performances against Coventry, obviously we haven't played them in a long time. 2013 was the last time in the FA Cup third round, I think it was. We beat them 3-0. Clint Dempsey, I think, scored 2 that day. Was it
Dempsey
Gareth
and
Bale?
Yeah. Bale definitely scored. I'm pretty sure Dempsey scored 1. I can't remember who scored the third off the top of my head.
Dempsey scored twice, I think it was.
Dempsey twice. Yeah, I don't think we can learn too much from that game for here, but yeah.
You sure? What, you're not going to read into that game and see what we can take into this one?
Maybe if it was a few years ago and we still had Bale on loan, maybe. But that hasn't quite happened. But look, yeah, obviously they haven't been in the Premier League for a long time. We haven't been drawn to them in a cup in a long time. But it looks like we've got a pretty good record against them since 2000.
Well, we haven't conceded a goal to them since 2000.
Unbelievable.
So,
who was that? Mustafa Hadji?
Must have been. I mean, Mustafa Hadji is the name that really could have been Darren Huckabee.
Carboni, was he a Coventry player?
I think he was at Bradford, wasn't he?
Bradford? Oh yeah, you might be right.
But I remember that I do remember quite clearly that game in the League Cup when we beat them 3-0. Dion Dublin was there,
Dublin.
When we beat them 3-0 in the League Cup. I can't remember who scored. Rohan Ricketts. Who
Rohan
else
Ricketts
scored that?
scored from 25 yards, I remember.
I remember thinking after that game, we done Arsenal in here with that transfer.
Rohan Ricketts scored. I remember Robbie
Was that under
Keane.
Glenn Hoddle?
Robbie Keane definitely scored. It was under Glenn Hoddle before he got sacked, I believe. Or was he sacked by then already? I think it was just before he got sacked. Robbie Keane scored.
Didn't Glenn Hoddle take Rohan Ricketts to Wolves straight away?
He took him the next season.
Oh, the next season.
He took over at the end of the season, Wolves, and then he took him on loan, I think. So good times at the. I don't know if it was a different stadium.
It was Highfield then. Highfield Avenue or
Highfield Road.
Highfield Road. That was it. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean.
Highfield Avenue. That sounds like a road in Golders Green.
Highfield Avenue. So yeah, let's hope we can keep up this stellar record we got against Coventry over the years.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be interesting to see which lineup Ange does go for, because a lot was made out of his lineup that he played against Fulham. And he was asked about that in the press conference. And to be fair, he did say, he still played a fairly strong lineup in terms of quite experienced team with Giovanni Lo Celso and Ben Davis and players like that. And Fulham also played quite a weakened team that day, or a second string team, should I say. And I think he's right. I mean, the team that did play that day should have been enough to win the game. And we nearly did.
Yeah, obviously we lost on penalties. What was the team that day? The team was, I'm going up here. The team that day that he gets panned for was Forster in goal, Emerson, Sanchez, Van de Ven and Ben Davis, Højbjerg, Skip and Lo Celso with Solomon, Perisic and Richarlison. Wow. So who's not at the club anymore? Emerson, Sanchez, Højbjerg, Skip, Solomon and Perisic. And Lo Celso. So what, 8 of that lineup? Only Richarlison, Van de Ven, so 7 of that lineup are no longer here. Which is
it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, a lot of change.
Do you think, we'll get into the predicted lineup in a minute, and that's what we think Ange is going to go for, but for you personally, would you like to see him go, very strong, or would you like to see him go a mix and match or second string, give players rest?
I don't want him to go second string. I want him to go mix and match. I definitely want him to start blooding in the youngsters and giving them an opportunity, but I want it to be married with some experience on the pitch and make sure that we get the job done, because I feel like if there's too much inexperience, then you definitely run the risk of not taking this game seriously enough. And as much as you might think these players are talented, these championship players are not bad players, they're good players, and you can't just throw a bunch of youngsters and expect to win. So I don't want a second string team.
So out of the second string, who would you not like to see play?
Out of the second string, it's not who I wouldn't mind anyone playing, but it's just I want it married with a bit of experience. I want some experienced heads in there. It's not there's no one specific player I don't want playing. It's just that
all as a collective.
I don't want them all together as a collective.
Yeah, I get that.
I think Ange said in his presser that he will definitely put out a team that he thinks can win the game, and obviously he has to take into account that we had a game a few days ago and we got another game coming up, so he's got to see who's fit enough from the weekend to play this game and make a decision there. And I think obviously he's got to give some players opportunities to show what they can do, but we all know that if he makes too many changes and we end up being at the end of a shock result, then Ives are going to be out for him. They'll say, "Oh, you made so many changes. What? We've got to play. It's an important game. You took this game lightly. You don't care about the cups." Pochettino always had that criticism whenever he went out of a cup competition early and stuff like that. So, I think. I do think he should make changes, because I do think you have to use the squad at some point. You can't just use the same 11 every game, and I think that also runs the risk of burning out players and using them too much. You've got to use the squad smartly. But I wouldn't make 11 changes, essentially. I'll probably make, maybe 5 or 6.
Do you feel like...
Because he made 11 last time, didn't he? I think apart from Van de Ven.
I think it was 9 changes.
Apart from Van de Ven and maybe Richarlison, I think they were all...
Yeah, it was 9 changes. It was, the famous, everyone was going mad afterwards. 9 changes? How could you make 9 changes and go out?
But here's a good litmus test.
He feels like that team was good enough to win the game.
I mean, the team in itself in terms of individual quality, probably was. But when you're making 9 changes, right, are they all used to playing with each other?
Yeah, that was only third game of the season.
Exactly. But they're all. Are they all going to be?
Well, the team that he played at Brentford first game of the season used to playing with each other.
Well,
it was all very new at that time.
It was, but this is an 11 who I don't know what they're doing on the training ground, but they haven't been on the pitch together before. You've also got Sanchez, Emerson, Ben Davies and Forster in a back four. I mean, that's a bit of a recipe disaster. You've got Højbjerg and Skip in a midfield three. Is that ever going to work in an Ange team? Obviously, Solomon, Perisic, Richarlison. You can argue that could do something, but Solomon's now out on loan. Perisic is now in Croatia. So, I mean, individually, could they all be part of a team that wins? Yes, but as a collective, was that team good enough? I don't know.
I feel like the difference between then and now is that a lot of those players were classed as deadwood last season and saying that we definitely need to move these players on. Like, there's not a lot of players now in the squad where we say these players definitely need to move on. Yeah,
100%. And it's interesting, if you look here, this was essentially our second 11 last season. Emerson, with that team. And if you look at our team, our second 11 now, what would our second 11 be? So probably same as Forster. Spence or Gray comes in for Emerson. You got Dragoshin coming in for Sanchez.
If you take the Arsenal lineup, which you've got to say is probably our strongest lineup with everyone available right now, because Basuma's out for the game. So Bentancur started in the 6, right? Porro started right back and Udogie started left back. So the second string would be Gray in the 6, Spence at right back, and
Basuma's there.
Basuma was injured. I'm saying everyone, if you take the lineup from the Arsenal game with everyone available, so Basuma's not into account right now.
I see, yeah.
So it would be Gray in the 6, it would be Spence at right back, and it would be Reguilon or Davis at left back. Well, it would probably be Reguilon left back, Davis left centre back, and Dragoshin right centre back
as your second 11.
Yeah.
And you got Gray there. You've got you've got Sarr. And you've got Bergvall in that midfield. You've got on the right probably under Odegaard. On the left you've got Werner. Up front probably still Richarlison.
Richarlison's out.
Richarlison's out. But I'm just saying, if we're judging our squad based on how good the second 11s are, I think the second 11 this season looks, I think, in a better way, I would say, than last season. I would argue.
100%. 100% is in a better way. And you've also got talented Mikey Moore as well, that Ange was speaking about in the press conference, and says, you might find him on the pitch on Wednesday night, whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench. I'll let you guys make your mind up about that one. But I do think that the likes of Gray, Bergvall and Mikey Moore will all take a part in tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think it's really important that they all start seeing minutes so that when they get their chance in the Premier League, they've already got some minutes under their belt and they can make an impact. Because I think you get thrown in the Premier League straight away, it's a very high-level competition. You've got to get used to your teammates, all that kind of stuff. But if you can bed them in the Carabao Cup and Europa League, we've done it with other players, and then you get to see firsthand how they are at that level, and then you could bed them in the Premier League and start getting the opportunities. So I think this is a good opportunity to bed in some of these youngsters.
So what are you looking for? You're looking for like a good spine of experienced players with like the second string dotted around.
Exactly. I think one of the centre backs, Romero and Van de Ven, should play. I think in midfield you should have one of. I mean, obviously Basuma's out, but I think you should have one of the three that started on Sunday. I think at least one of the three should be playing as well. And in the front three, I think Dom should probably keep his place, and because he needs his first goal, and I think just get those minutes in his legs, and I think he should probably be playing as well. So in the spine, I want some experience. Then you can throw in a Bergvall, throw in a Gray, put Odegaard in, stuff like that, and that's the kind of team I want to see.
I always feel like, I know it's probably rubbish what I'm saying, but I always feel like you want your first goal. I'm not saying don't play Dom and I don't want him to score, but I always feel like you want your first goal kind of in the Premier League. You don't want that kind of negativity in your league form to fester. I mean, I remember speaking to you about Solanke when he first joined, and I was like, we need him to get off the ground quickly, because we've seen too many times strikers come here and take too long to get off the mark, and then the confidence goes, and then it just becomes a thing. You remember with all the way back to Postiga, Soldado, Janssen. The list is endless. It's Rebrov, like for players that happened to, and Richarlison. I think last year he got that goal in the Carabao Cup, didn't he? And then I don't think he scored again for a month or two, or whenever it was, until he went on that run. So, I think you're right. Solanke should play, but he needs to get that goal in the Premier League very soon.
We can't do that tomorrow.
No, we can't do that tomorrow.
But I think just him getting off the mark, his first goal for Tottenham, will be a weight off his shoulders wherever it comes, in my opinion. If it is tomorrow, hopefully he can take that confidence into the Premier League as well.
Yeah, but you know what the narrative will be like. It'll just be like, oh, it was only against Coventry, championship team in the cup.
I don't care what the narrative would be. I think his first goal, whatever competition it comes in, will be an important landmark. And we know the longer it goes on, the more that pressure builds of when you're going to score that first goal. So if it comes tomorrow, I think that obviously will be a positive thing. It's better than him not scoring, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think if he can get his first goal tomorrow, that'd be great. I think. And to be honest, I've been impressed with him in the first 2 games. I have. I know he's missed some chances and stuff like that, but I think in general, from what I've seen in his hold-up play and his general play, it's night and day from what we've had from last season in terms of the other strikers in that position. So once he starts putting the ball in the net, I think we've got a real great striker there.
Yeah, I really want to see Mikey Moore play a significant part of this game. I've been so impressed every time I've seen him play. He did well against this level of opposition in pre-season as well. I personally would start him over Timo Werner on the left-hand side and see how he gets on. And you've always got Timo to come on if he is struggling in the game. But for me, I would love to see Mikey Moore start this game.
I mean, has he been involved in any of the squad so far this season?
Has he been involved in any of the squads? I don't think he has, but Ange did mention in the press conference.
Because he was asked about him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not mention him if you asked about him.
But he said, you might see him on the pitch.
He said he said about Gray, Bergval. He was talking about all the youngsters. He wasn't talking about specifically Mikey. But he was talking about Mikey as well.
He actually hasn't been in the squad this season.
So on that basis...
And he hasn't even been playing for the under-21s much either, I don't think. I don't know what they're doing with him.
He's a young 17-year-old kid. There's no pressure on him. There are players there in the position, whether you like them or not. They're more experienced than him.
His last game for the under-21s was on the 30th, actually. Was that their last game? It must have been. Yeah, so he has been playing for the under-21s. But...
I think he's going to be in the match day squad. I don't know if he's ready to start this game or not. Obviously, I'm really excited to see him, and I really want to see what he can do with minutes on the pitch. But I do think in this game, he might start him, but I wouldn't start him and Bergval and Gray and Odegaard. I wouldn't start all of them together. You have to pick a few of them, and I don't know if Mikey Moore's going to be the one he picks.
It's a shame Lancashire's injured for this one. Someone just pointed out in the comments, because I think he would have seen some game time as well. But you never know. I thought in the North London derby, Ethan Nwaneri comes on with 20 minutes to go or something. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he didn't look out of place, and you're looking at him compared to Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore has actually looked the better player at international level for the under-19s or whatever level that they play at. So I don't see a reason why Mikey shouldn't play a significant part of this game.
Yeah, I mean, he can play. I'm not saying I think he will play. I think he'll be on the bench, but I don't think he'll start. That's all I'm saying. Nwaneri came on 86, so he had 5 minutes.
He was very good, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked nice. He looked good, but... he didn't start, and I think from Mikey Moore's point of view, there's no rush to get him in the team. And I know wherever you think of Werner, we have Son there, we've got Odegaard who can play on the left. So I think he's going to go with them as the start. And if it really isn't working, you can bring on Mikey Moore. And then if he can make a difference, then bam, all of a sudden, that builds his confidence. That shows what you can do at this level.
Yeah, fair play.
And then you can look at starting. But I don't think he'll start in this game. I think he's going to... I don't know if he'll go for Werner or Son, but I think Bergval and Gray are both going to start.
Yeah.
So if we're imploring Ange not to take this lightly, I don't think you can start too many of those teenagers in just in one performance. I think you've got to bed them in, gradually, and I think you need to marry that with a bit of experience.
I'm just impatient because everyone knows my love for Mikey Moore. I just want to see him on that pitch, so maybe I am just a bit impatient with it. But it's going to be interesting to see what he does do with that front line, because obviously it has been poor so far this season. So here's an opportunity for one of these other players to step up and stake their claim for replacing the Premier League team.
Definitely. And considering that some players in the front line aren't doing great at the moment, this is a good opportunity for some players to show what they can do. And obviously, Bergwijn and Gray didn't come on at all in the North London derby. So if they start this game and play really well, maybe they'll show Ange that they should be getting significant minutes in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think Bergwijn and Gray, there is no two ways about it. They're definitely starting this game, 100%. Like, we didn't sign another midfielder because of how much we believe in them, and their minutes in the Premier League so far in the first 4 games have been very limited. Which I've been quite surprised about. I thought there were definitely opportunities where he could have brought on particularly Bergwijn in the North London derby and potentially other games as well. And we saw when he came on in the Leicester game, he played really well and didn't look out of place at that level. So are you surprised a bit that he hasn't seen more minutes than he has done in the first 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he came on against Leicester, came on against Everton as well. Did he come on against Newcastle?
I think Everton was like, he only got like a minute or 2, didn't he?
No, he got like 10 minutes, I think.
So it was the Newcastle game where he just got like a minute.
Yeah, I think Newcastle he came on, didn't he? But he didn't play much. So, I mean, he got 10 minutes against Newcastle. So, I mean...
He's got more or less 10 to 15 minutes in each game 18, apart from the derby.
That doesn't surprise me. The guy's 18. It's the early part of the season. And said, you got to remember as well, at this part of the season, it's only been 1 game a week. So it doesn't surprise me that that's the kind of level
to see him a lot more now.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to see him a lot more. We've got European games he's going to get started in. And also, because we've got games coming thick and fast, I'm sure we're going to make more changes as well, and earlier changes in Premier League games as well, because there will be players playing in Europe and Premier League as well. So I think for this early part of the season, it doesn't surprise me at all. Maybe it slightly surprised me that we haven't seen more of Archie Gray. I mean, he came on against Leicester, and then he came on against Everton for a bit, did he? Not much, if I remember. Everton, he got 20 minutes.
Yeah, he got 20 minutes against Everton, 13 minutes against Leicester.
Didn't see him at all against Newcastle. I guess when we're trailing, what's the need to bring on Archie Gray? Doesn't really make sense. So I guess that's not much of a surprise. But no, look, these guys are 18. I'm not in a rush just to chuck him in. Like they're going to get game time. It's a long season, a lot of games. So I'm not in a massive rush just to get them in straight away.
Yeah. I'm just like dreading the thought of seeing Timo Werner start the game, though. That's the thing I've got going into it, because he's been shocking so far this season. There's no getting away from that. He has been. Every time he's come on, he's just frustrated the life out of all of us. Mm-hmm. And I just hope we don't see him from the start and get that frustrations for 60-odd minutes or so.
Look, Werner's been terrible so far this season, and we were very much against re-signing him because we just didn't see the need for it. We could have easily upgraded him. I understand maybe signing Werner and then signing an upgrade with him, but you signed Odegaard, so it does make sense. Why not just sign Odegaard and then forget Werner? But look, Werner started a few games last season and did all right, so let's hope he can do the same tomorrow. I know he's had a poor start to the season, but we've signed him now. He's part of the squad, and Ange will use him. And I think he'll use him tomorrow. He's got to use him at some point. Well, I think, not got to, but he will use him at some point, I should say. He's an experienced member of the squad. And against Coventry, maybe he can do something. I mean, I haven't been impressed with him at all. I'm not even certain he will start. Maybe he'll stick with Son, but I think he will use him at some point.
Yeah. Score prediction?
I think Spurs will win, and I'm going to go for 2-1.
2-1, tight game.
Tight
you think
game.
It's going to be a tight game?
Coventry are going to be up for it. I reckon it's going to take our subs to come on and win the game for us tonight.
Really?
I think so. I think it'll be like 1-1 going into like the last
Mikey Moore from the bench.
Last 25 minutes or so, and then we'll get maybe Mikey Moore, maybe don't know, maybe Sonny, or maybe Sonny will come on. Maybe even I reckon, you know what it will be? I reckon if Decky and Madders both, actually Madders surely against his old club will start, but I reckon if they're both not starting, I reckon one of them's going to come on and make the difference. We'll win the game 2-1.
Yeah, that's a good point. Didn't Maddison made his name at Coventry, didn't he? Is that where he came through the academy?
He did,
Or was he at somewhere before Coventry?
Was it Norwich then Coventry, or Coventry then Norwich?
It would have been Coventry then Norwich, I think.
I think it was Coventry then Norwich. Matters. So Yeah, again, is it his boyhood club? I think it is his boyhood club, you know? Yeah, Coventry.
Yeah.
Coventry, then
So
Norwich.
Coventry, then he went on loan to Norwich, and then they signed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Coventry, then Norwich, then on loan to Coventry, and then back to Norwich.
Oh, I see. So they signed him and loaned him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just got to go through by hook or by crook. I don't really care how we do it. Just go through. It's worth noting that if it is a draw, it goes straight to penalties, just as it was last year where we went out against Fulham. And I hate that, you know. For the big team, it's probably more of a risk, that, isn't it, to go to penalties straight after the full-time whistle, because, you know, at extra time, quality should shine through.
I mean, if you're Coventry, you would definitely take penalties right now.
Over extra time, yeah.
If you play for a draw and go for penalties, it's not a bad tactic.
I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs.
2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs. A clean sheet. I don't think we've been conceding too many chances, albeit the chances that we have been conceding have been high quality. But obviously the quality of opposition has been better than Coventry so far. But look, we saw how they raised their game against Manchester United and gave them really tough games, scored a number of goals, I think 3 goals.
They were 3-0 down, to be fair.
Yeah,
before United probably took their foot off the gas, you could argue.
And I think like this Spurs team, however we've started the season, are a much more settled team than that Manchester United team towards the end of last season, where they were kind of, I know we're not getting results, but they weren't getting results on a consistent basis, and they weren't playing well on a consistent basis. At least to the eye, we are playing well. We're just not picking up the results at the moment. So hopefully it should all click against the Championship side in a very tough set of circumstances. I'm going 2-0. Sim is going to go for 2-1 in a very tight affair. We're going to move on to our predict. Actually, just before we do that, there is a couple of super chats, or is there one? One super chat here saying, are the players and or club signings for you Spurs? I think they're and signings.
I actually think people like Bergvall, Gray, I reckon they're probably more club signings. But I think Werner, I think Brennan, I think Odebear, Solanke, I think Ange had a big say in those ones. I think he probably had a big say in Bergvall and Gray too, but I reckon like Bergvall and Gray are like signings I reckon we probably make regardless of Ange. But I think people like Solanke, Brennan, and Odebear, I reckon he pushed for them more, in my opinion. I've got a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that, but we all know that Ange does have ultimate final say now on all the transfers coming through, which I don't think was the case under previous managers, which is a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the manager has a say, and every manager we've had has had a say. But I think it depends. It depends what you mean. Like, I think Ange probably tells the team what kind of player he's looking for, and they go out and try and find that kind of player. That's what I think. But then I also
think when it comes down to it, he says the final yes or no.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't think it was like that for previous managers. I think they might have been involved in the conversations, but I don't think the final yes or no. I mean, I'm speculating here, but that's what I feel like.
I don't think that's. I don't think our transfer policy has massively changed between Postecoglou and Conte and Mourinho and all that kind of stuff in terms of how involved the managers are. I don't think it's changed massively.
I think it has. Well, look, we're just speculating here, but I think it has. I think Ange is a lot more involved in the transfer dealings than the other managers were.
I don't know. This is just me. Again, yeah, it's speculation, but I see a massive difference in terms of what kind of direction we're going in recruitment, but that's because that's what Ange wants. But I don't see any evidence that there's a big difference in terms of how much of a say the managers have. I think they probably all have a similar say, I would argue. I'm sure Conte and Mourinho also had final say. If they really didn't want to play, I don't know if they would have signed them. But I do think that we're starting to, all these younger players, I think the club are investing in a lot of these younger players regardless of what managers there. And I think that's also that's not a bad thing necessarily, because I think we know that you can't guarantee success with managers, but when you're talking about players and investing in young talents, it's good to invest in players who you really believe can become stars, regardless of who the manager is.
Yeah, definitely. But let's get into this predicted lineup, and we're gonna go through the team news. So what's that?
Yeah, Basuma still out for this one. Unfortunately, he said he's looking to make the game from the weekend, which is positive, but he's not where they need him to be for midweek, so not going to be available, which is a bit of a blow. But Richarlison continues to be out. I actually don't think he mentioned Richarlison, but I think he probably would have mentioned if he was fit. So.
Well, I think last week they said he's out for a significant amount of time, didn't they?
He said he's still out for a bit, so I don't think he's going to be available for this one. But other than that, everyone seems to be okay at the moment. So
Lancashire, obviously, yeah.
Well, Lancashire's still out as well, but everyone else seems to be fit.
All right, well, let's get into it. 4-3-3 as per usual. In goal, we're actually going for Big Vic. It was a big conversation whether it would be Fraser Forster and Vicario. Forster did play the second round of the League Cup last season, and obviously I don't think he covered himself in much glory in the penalty shootout. I would just like to see him go for Vicario and go for that safer pair of hands.
Yeah, so would I. I'm not sure which one he is actually going to go for. I've got a feeling it might be Forster. I've got a feeling Forster has the Cups and Vicario has Europe and the Premier League. That's my feeling. But I'm hoping to see Vicario, and I don't want us to take any chances. So that's why we put Vicario in, but I do have a feeling it might be Forster.
I mean, Vicario played the FA Cup last season, didn't he?
He did.
But it was against Man City, to
and
be
also
fair.
we didn't have Europe.
Yeah, we didn't have Europe. So Vicario in goal. Right back, we are going to go for Archie Gray. I got a feeling it could be Jed Spence there, but we are going for Gray.
Yeah, Spence obviously has a chance. Gray, obviously his last appearance. Actually, when did he come on at right back in his last few games or centre mid?
No, centre mid.
But I feel like from the start in this one, considering we've got a lot of options in midfield, I think he is going to put Gray at right back. I do think he's going to want to start him. But does he trust him to play the number 6 from the start straight away in such a big game? I'm not sure if he does. I think he still want a bit of experience right now. So I think Gray's going to start a right back here, and a position we know he can play. And I think he's going to get a lot of minutes in that position as well. So I think he's going to start right back in this one.
Great right back, right centre back. This is a dead cert for the game, I think, is Radu Dragusin. Obviously, Romero didn't cover himself in the most, hasn't covered himself in the most amount of glory so far this season. And Radu Dragusin is willing and able deputy to come in. And I think he's been fairly good when called upon this season.
Yeah, I think he needs to start. We know that Dragusin and his agent, they're not too far away from starting to say something in the media without any playing time. So
they don't need to be asked twice, do they?
Exactly. So I think he definitely starts in this one. I'm sure he'll get a lot of starts in Europe as well. And if Romero carries on his form in the Premier League, he might get some starts in the Premier League soon. But definitely a chance for him to impress again, which I thought he did against Newcastle.
Left centre-back will be Mickey van de Ven. There is a chance it could be Ben Davies to step in, but I feel like he'll want to go for a solid base of Van de Ven and Dragusin.
Yeah, I think Dragusin as well, coming back from injury, needs some more minutes in his legs, I think. With Romero suffering from fever and travel times and whatever, I think it's probably a good opportunity to give him a rest and allow him to sit this game out.
When was he injured, Dragusin?
Not Dragusin, Van de Ven.
Oh, Van de Ven coming out for injury.
Yeah, Van de Ven. So I think that will be a benefit to him to get more minutes in his legs and get back to full fitness. Look, he looks fully fit, to be honest, but I think he's going to be the one more likely to play than Romero.
Yeah, Des Bolt does make a good point about Van de Ven playing, is that, his hamstrings might need a rest after being injured, Do you feel that's a case, Because if he gets injured in any game, it'll be detrimental, but particularly if it's in a cup game.
He can get injured, yeah, as you say, he can get injured in any game, so I wouldn't leave him out just because he could get injured. Then you're going to be leaving him out of any game in midweek, which I don't think is necessary per se. So I think he starts this one, and maybe you can rest it. Maybe you can alternate it. Van de Ven plays this one, and then maybe Romero plays in next week in the Europe. And then we're
going to go for Spence at left back. But if we're not playing Ben Davies in this game, when is he ever going to play?
Well, Ben Davies is still here. He's going to play in Europe because Spence isn't available.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So I think Spence will get a start here because his minutes are going to be limited otherwise. And yeah, the question is, does he play right back or left back? We've just gone for him to play left back in this one. Obviously, he's played a left back in a lot of pre-season, and hopefully he can be a bit better than he was. But we've seen him play left back as well in Italy, so it's a role he's not alien to.
Yeah, look, there is also a case for Sergio Reguilon He's kind of a forgotten man at Spurs, but he's still here. He got named in the Premier League squad going into this season. Is there a case that Reguilon could start this game?
I don't think so. I think he's not going to see any minutes, to be honest, because I think they wanted him out. I think he wanted to get rid. I know Ange's always said if they're here and they're part of the squad, they've always got an opportunity to play. He hasn't been involved in any squads. He hasn't had any minutes so far this season. Spencer's has come on in some games, so I think Spencer's ahead of him.
Has Reguilon even been on the bench yet?
Don't believe so.
No.
So I don't see Reguilon being involved, to be honest.
In the midfield, in the number 6, we're going to go for Rodrigo Bentancur. Obviously got the nod there in the North London derby. I don't think he was too bad. I don't think he was too great. But against this Coventry side, he should be more than good enough in the 6.
Yeah, and I think we want a bit of experience in there just to make sure things are going smoothly. I think Bentancur can do that. We know as well he's potentially got a ban coming in, so it's a good opportunity to play him before that comes in domestic football, and then he's going to be restricted to probably European football up until November. So I think he starts this one just so we can get him playing a game before he gets his ban.
In the number 8 position, we're going to go for Pape Matar Sarr, and I think it's really important for Sarr to put down a bit of a marker in this game because he hasn't been that great since probably the start of pre-season. Maybe, in flashes he's shown a bit, but on a consistent basis he hasn't shown us what he's about. And I think just for himself, he needs to put down a bit of a marker, put in a really strong performance tomorrow because he needs to fight his way back into that team.
Yeah, he came on and tried to make a difference, didn't he, in the North London derby? You saw him making a few attempts. And funnily enough, he came on in the 6. I don't know if Ange put him there because he sees him as a potential option there or because he just would rather Sarr's experience in that position rather than Archie Gray on that occasion. But yeah, Sarr hasn't been in the best of form lately. I don't know what's happened with him. I think he needs to make sure he's getting back to those levels we saw earlier last season. And because we know what a good player Sarr can be, he's got so much energy, and I think he's got underrated technical ability as well. But I think we've now developed into a team where we're playing Kulusevski and Maddison together, and that offers a lot of offensive ability. And if Sarr can't offer that, it's going to be very difficult for him to get back in the team. So he's got to make sure when he's getting the final third, he's being more effective.
Yeah, he did come on for Bentancur in the 6, and obviously we've got Basuma and Bentancur who are going to be the 2 starter 6s, but with the emergence of Maddison and Kulusevski in these middle 2 areas, and you've got the likes of Bergvall who can also play in those positions if they're out, do you think they could potentially look at Sarr more as a 6 and retrain him a bit?
Maybe. I mean, I think if that's his position, he could probably do it. I just feel like right now, how he's played the 8 hasn't suited the profile of a 6. I don't think he's very good on the half turn when he's being pressed and things like that. I think he'll get caught on the ball too much. But I do think he's got the skill set to do it. But I just don't think right now he is a 6. I think he is definitely more of an 8. But I wonder if that's a position that we'll use him during the season. My gut tells me no, but you never know.
Yeah. In the 10, we are going to go for Lucas Bergvall for his first competitive start in a Spurs shirt, and this is one I'm really excited to see because all the flashes and all the moments that we've seen him in pre-season and coming on in the Premier League, he's looked like a top quality player already at the age of 18. So I want to see him proper dominating this game. Yeah,
it'll be so exciting to see him if he does start in this game. Obviously, there's Maddison who could play against his old club, or Decky as well, but we're just going to give Bergvall a start because I've been so impressed with him. I want to see what he can do in a competitive game from the beginning and see if he can really make a difference in this one. And obviously he's going to be with Sarr and Bentancur next to him who've got that experience. So I think it's experience enough 3 in the middle to give Bergvall a start here. And if it really is going wrong, he's still got Decky and Maddison who can come on and change the game. So we're going to give Bergvall a start, and hopefully he does really well. I'm really excited with that.
Yeah, on the right-hand side, it's going to be Wilson Odobert. Obviously, Brennan Johnson not putting in the best performance in the game against Arsenal in the North London derby. Odobert came on. He kind of huffed and puffed and went on the outside and the inside, didn't really make too much of an impact. But against Coventry, surely he's got to be making a big impact in this game.
Yeah, and also on the right-hand side, we don't have too many other options because, we've got Johnson, who's a more natural right, and then after that, everyone else is more natural left. But Odebert's the one he's trusted more on the right so far. So we're going to give him another start. And I think the more Odobert plays and gets used to the system, it's going to be better for us. So I think another start for him, and hopefully, he can get his first goal contribution as well in a Tottenham shirt.
Yeah. And then next up, we are going to go for Solanke up top in the number 9. And like you say, let's hope he gets his first goal in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, and also obviously no Richarlison, so we are kind of first of all we don't only have him up available so at the moment, but I think it's important to get him playing as much as possible, get more minutes in his legs. Obviously, you got to remember he's been out for a month, including international duties, and also he missed the Newcastle and Everton games. So he actually has been injured for a bit of time, so he's going to need that match sharpness to come back into his legs. I think he was lacking that in front of goal a bit against Arsenal. So
he was lacking against Leicester as well.
So in this one, I think he's going to start again, and hopefully can break his duck.
And then last but not least, on the left-hand side, we were trying to decide, is it going to be Sonny? Is it going to be Werner? But we do think it's going to be the captain, Son Heung-min, on the left-hand side for Tottenham.
I think my preference would be to rest him, seeing as he is 32, and I don't want to overuse him as well. And I do think, in Europe he might be used quite a bit, but I think he is the captain. It's a very important game. So I do think from the start Sonny will play, and then maybe by the 60th minute we can change him. But I think because it's such an important game, I think we want our captain in the team. So let's
say Werner, for argument's sake, does play. Who's the captain?
If Werner plays,
Bentancur probably. Bentancur, Vicario maybe.
Yeah, probably Bentancur. I'm saying. Yeah, I think Bentancur.
Being interesting.
He's been the longest serving player on that pitch, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely the longest serving. And he does have a bit of leadership ability about him as well, doesn't he? So let's run through the lineup again. Do you think there is a chance, actually, that we could rest on and maybe put Brennan on the right and Odegaard on the left?
Yeah, they could also do that. Maybe, give Johnson another run and try and get him to improve his confidence. And Ange admitted in his press conference that he is low on confidence at the moment, Brennan.
Because to build up confidence, surely there's no better way than to play. Look, I don't want to disrespect Coventry, but they are a championship side, and Brennan should be have more than enough quality to really go at them. So to build his confidence, do you think that they could go that way?
Could definitely go that way. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes that way. He was talking up Brennan a lot in his press conference, so. I mean, there's definitely a chance you could do that. And also Odegaard is more comfortable on the left-hand side as well. So he could go that way. But we've just gone for this way. But look, there's a lot of different permutations he could go. I wouldn't be surprised if he can stick to Brennan Johnson and puts Odegaard on the left. But I just think Odegaard will start. So we're just thinking him on the right, and then I think Captain Son on the left.
All right. Well, that's the lineup. Vicario in goal, Gray right back, Spence left back, Dragoshin and Van der Ven in the centre back positions, Bentancur, Sarr and Bergvall in the middle three with Odegaard and Sonny supporting big Dom Solanke.
And I just think that has a good balance of youth, giving people a chance, but also having that experience to make sure, we're getting over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go for 2-0 to Spurs. Sim is going for 2-1. And I'm going to go for Solanke to get an early goal, and then Mikey Moore to come on and finish him off right at the end. So that is our 2 cents on the big game tomorrow night at the Rico. I'm going to be going to the game. Sim is going to be back on here for the watch along with Amir. So come and join them and call into the show after to give your 2 cents on the game. Hopefully we'll be going through to the 4th round. The draw won't be tomorrow though, will it? It's going to be next week because they're doing it in a different, strange way this year.
Yeah, because of the extra European games. So they're staggering it between 2 weeks. So Villa and who's playing this week? Villa
against Young Boys.
There's Villa. There's some other team. There's another English team. Is it Liverpool?
No, it's Arsenal, Atalanta.
And Liverpool as well, because Slot did his presser yesterday. Liverpool playing tonight, I think. So they're playing this week.
Arsenal are Thursday night against Atalanta.
So the Arsenal as well this week, and then next week we're going to be playing, and the other in Europe and the other Man City. The
shining lights of CARABAO.
Man City are playing this week. I don't know. Man United next week then.
Are they in Europe? Man U?
Yeah.
Oh, they won the FA Cup.
So they're going to be playing next week. So it's a staggered how they're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so needless, all these extra games. Like, why have they redone these whole European fixtures just to add in these extra games? Like, Rodri's come out in his press conference this week and said players are close to going on strike.
Well, they've added more games to the calendar. You've got the Nations League, and then you've got the Club World Cup adding fixtures as well. There's talk of they want to make their World Cup every 2 years instead of every 4 years.
Is that what they're saying?
All this crazy stuff. Soon there'll be no spare date in the calendar at all. They're already having to do a staggered Carabao Cup, and I think Thomas Frank's got a good point. Like, why are they still doing two-legged semi-finals in the Carabao Cup? There's no need for it, but they're still doing that. So it's crazy, the schedule at the moment, especially now. Football is so much more athletic than it used to be. The players are running more, they're working harder. There's going to be even more risk of injury. So it's pretty crazy at the moment.
Yeah, and they think why the club's getting so many injuries all the time.
Yeah. Because of this schedule.
It's madness. They're going to make they're going to end up making all these players' careers so much shorter as well.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the circumstance or the of what they're trying to do here, just to make a bit of extra money. It's a bit ridiculous, to be honest, but you're kind of diluting the product now just to get more games in and to earn more money.
Agreed. And that's why Rodgers feel like they're at the end of their tether when it comes to this stuff.
It'll be interesting to see if they actually do, protest or whatever and make a stand against this, and what would happen from it.
Go on strike.
Yeah,
that'll be unprecedented. Imagine all the footballers go on strike. What would we do? We have to go on strike.
Well, if the footballers go on strike, just make sure the Spurs players don't go on strike, and then we'll get buys in all the games.
Yeah, maybe we can win the
league. That's the only way Arsenal are going to win the league, because Man City are going to go on strike. Arteta is going to make sure they don't go on strike.
Yeah, but look, it's a good opportunity to get into that fourth round. Every cup competition should be seen as an opportunity here. And I think that team is a good blend. I like that team. So that's kind of what I want to see. I don't want to see too many changes, but enough that we get to see players get an opportunity.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you all tomorrow, game day at the Ricoh Arena. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.